The dusty bus wheezed to a stop at Mile 2, Motor Park, and Amara Chukwu clutched her small gonna-must-go bag tighter to her chest. The acrid smell of exhaust fumes mixed with roasted corn and pure water sachets filled her nostrils as she stepped down from the rickety vehicle that had carried her from Enugu to Lagos. At 19, she had never been this far from home, and the cacophony of Lagos traffic made her ears ring. "Auntie, you dey find house?" A bus conductor's voice cut through her reverie. "I know where you fit, get good job as house girl." Amara shook her head quickly. She had been warned about such people by her elder sister, Ngozi, who had made this same journey 5 years earlier. "No, thank you. I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. The address scribbled on a piece of paper in her hand was smudged, and she couldn't make out the last 2 digits. Mrs. Adaora Okafor, a family friend from their village, had promised her a job as a house help in Victoria Island. But now Amara wondered if she had made a terrible mistake leaving her family's small farm in Enugu. "Sister, you look lost, though." A young woman about her age approached. She was dressed in a faded Ankara top and black skirt, her hair neatly braided. "I'm Blessing. You just arrived Lagos." Something about Blessing's warm smile reminded Amara of her younger sister back home. "Yes. I'm looking for this address." She showed Blessing the crumpled paper. Blessing squinted at the writing. "Ah, this not Victoria Island. Very far from here. You need to take bus to CMS, then Okada to 6. But sister, you sure say this address correct? Victoria Island na where big people day live. Oh, that's what I was told," Amara replied, suddenly feeling more uncertain. "Come, let me help you." Blessing flagged down a Danfo bus. "I day go that side too. My madam just change apartment." As they squeezed into the crowded bus, Amara couldn't help but notice how Blessing navigated Lagos like she had lived there all her life. "How long have you been in Lagos?" 3 years now. I've been day work as house help for different families. Some good, some." Blessing shrugged. "You go understand soon." The bus ride through Lagos was like nothing Amara had ever experienced. Massive billboards advertised everything from mobile networks to skin lightening creams. Street hawkers weaved between cars stuck in traffic, selling everything from newspapers to roasted plantains. The city was alive in a way that made her small village feel like a distant memory. "That's National Theater," Blessing pointed out landmarks as they passed. "And that big building na Central Bank. Lagos na city where dreams come true. But you must be wise, sister. No let anybody cheat you." When they finally reached Victoria Island, Amara gasped. The buildings were tall and gleaming, the roads were smooth, and the cars looked like they belonged in a movie. Even the air smelled different, cleaner, mixed with the scent of money and ambition. "Here we are," Blessing announced as they got off the bus. "What's the house number again?" They walked down a tree-lined street until they found number 47, an imposing 2-story building painted cream and brown, with a well-manicured garden and a wrought iron gate. "Sister, you sure say na house help job you come do here?" Blessing whispered. "This house na mansion-o." Amara pressed the intercom button with shaking fingers. A crackling voice answered. "Who is it?" "Good afternoon. I'm Amara Chukwu. I'm here to see Mrs. Adaora Okafor." The gate buzzed open, and they walked up a paved driveway lined with palm trees. The front door opened before they could knock, revealing a woman in her 50s wearing an expensive-looking gold wrapper and gelly. "Amara." Mrs. Okafor's face broke into a warm smile. "You've grown so much. And who is this?" "This is Blessing, Ma. She helped me find your house." "Thank you, my dear." "Amara, come in. Your friend can wait in the boys' quarters. Cook will give her something to eat." The interior of the house took Amara's breath away. Marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, and the walls were decorated with beautiful paintings. A massive leather sofa faced a television screen larger than the blackboard at her village school. "This is your new home," Mrs. Okafor said, leading her to a small but clean room behind the kitchen. "You'll be helping me with household chores and taking care of my son when he's home from university." "Thank you, Ma. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Your mother was my best friend in secondary school. I promised her I would take care of you like my own daughter." "But Amara, Mrs. Okafor's voice became serious. "Lagos is not like the village. You must be careful, work hard, be honest, and always remember where you come from. Amara's first weeks in Lagos were a whirlwind of new experiences. She woke up at 5:30 a.m. every day to help cook prepare breakfast, then spent her mornings cleaning the house and her afternoons learning how to use the washing machine and dishwasher, luxuries she had only heard about in stories. Mrs. Okafor was kind but firm. She taught Amara how to set the table for formal dinners, how to answer the phone properly, and how to interact with the other domestic staff. There was Cook, an elderly Yoruba woman named Mama Saad who had worked for the family for over a decade, Emeka, the gateman who always had a joke ready, and Sunday, the driver who taught Amara the shortcuts through Lagos traffic. Small madam, Cook would say, using the nickname she had given Amara, you must learn everything. Education no day in for book alone. Watch how madam carry herself, how she talked to people. These things matter for Lagos. Amara absorbed everything like a sponge. She learned to distinguish between the different types of fabric that Mrs. Okafor wore to various social events. She discovered that there was a proper way to serve tea, that flowers needed to be arranged just so, and that the right perfume could make all the difference in how people perceived you. But it was the books that truly changed her life. Mrs. Okafor had a massive library, and she encouraged Amara to read during her free time. Knowledge is power, my dear, Mrs. Okafor would say. The more you know, the more confident you become. Amara devoured novels by Chinua Achebe and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, biographies of successful Nigerians, and even business magazines that Mrs. Okafor's husband left lying around. She learned about the world beyond Lagos, about politics and economics, about the struggles and triumphs of women who had risen from humble beginnings. 3 months into her employment, Mrs. Okafor's son, Chidi, returned from university for the holidays. He was a pleasant young man studying law at the University of Lagos, and he treated Amara with respect, something that surprised her, given what Blessing had told her about some employers' children. You're always reading, Chidi observed one afternoon as he found Amara in the garden with a book. Your mother said I should educate myself, Amara replied, slightly embarrassed. What are you reading? She showed him the cover. Purple Hibiscus. Ah, Adichie. Excellent choice. Have you read Americana? Not yet. You should. It's about a young woman who leaves Nigeria and discovers herself in America. I think you'd relate to it. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a sleek black SUV. Mrs. Okafor emerged from the house, dressed in her finest wrapper and jewelry. Chidi, our guest is here. The man who stepped out of the SUV was tall and distinguished, with graying hair and in commanding presence. Even from a distance, Amara could tell he was someone important by the way he carried himself and how the driver rushed to open doors for him. Amara, Mrs. Okafor called. Please bring refreshments to the living room. As Amara served drinks, she couldn't help but overhear parts of the conversation. The visitor was discussing politics, mentioning names she recognized from the newspapers, senators, ministers, governors. His voice was deep and measured, and he spoke with the confidence of someone accustomed to being listened to. The party primaries are next year, he was saying. I believe I have a strong chance for the governorship. Amara's hand trembled slightly as she poured his tea. A governorship candidate. She had never been this close to someone so important. Thank you, he said, looking up at her with kind eyes. What's your name? Amara, sir. Beautiful name. It means grace in Igbo, doesn't it? Yes, sir. She was surprised he knew. Amara is like a daughter to me, Mrs. Okafor interjected. She's been such a blessing to our household. The man, whom she later learned was Chief Emeka Okoye, smiled warmly. Education is the key to success, young lady. Never stop learning. 6 months had passed since Amara arrived in Lagos, and she had settled into a comfortable routine. She had even started taking evening classes at an adult education center, determined to complete her secondary school education. Mrs. Okafor not only supported this decision but also paid for her school fees. I'm proud of you, Mrs. Okafor told her one evening as Amara prepared for her exams. You remind me of myself at your age, determined to better yourself despite the circumstances. It was during one of these evening classes that Amara met Kimmy, a banker's daughter who had become her study partner and friend. Kimmy was everything Amara aspired to be: confident, well-educated, and ambitious. She spoke fluent English and French, knew about art and literature, and had dreams of becoming a lawyer. "You're so smart, Amara," Kimmy would say during their study sessions. "Why don't you take the JAM exam? You could get into university." "University is for people like you," Amara would reply. "People with money and connections." "That's not true. There are scholarships, student loans. You just need to believe in yourself." Kimmy's words planted a seed in Amara's mind. Could she really aspire to more than being a house help? Could someone like her actually attend university? Meanwhile, Chief Okoye had become a regular visitor to the Okafor household. Amara learned that he was a widower with 2 grown children studying abroad, and he was indeed running for governor of Lagos State. His campaign was gaining momentum, and the house was often filled with political strategists, journalists, and party officials. Amara found herself fascinated by the political discussions. She began reading newspaper articles about governance, economic policies, and social issues. She learned about the challenges facing Lagos: traffic congestion, housing shortages, unemployment, and inadequate infrastructure. One evening, while serving refreshments during a strategy meeting, she overheard Chief Okoye discussing his plans for youth empowerment. "The young people are our future," he was saying. "We need to create opportunities for them, especially the girls. Too many bright minds are wasted because of poverty and lack of access to education." After the meeting, as Amara was clearing the dishes, Chief Okoye approached her. "Amara, I've noticed you listening to our discussions. What do you think about our youth empowerment plans?" Amara was startled. "Sir, I'm serious. I'd like to hear your perspective." She looked around nervously, but Mrs. Okafor nodded encouragingly. "Well, sir, I think education is important, but many young people also need practical skills. My friends from the village, they want to work, but they don't have the training or connections." "Go on. Maybe there could be programs that teach people skills like tailoring, computer literacy, or small business management. And not just in Lagos, but in rural areas too." Chief Okoye was quiet for a moment, then smiled. "That's exactly the kind of thinking we need. You've identified a real gap in our current proposals." From that day forward, Chief Okoye began asking for Amara's opinions on various issues. He would bring her newspaper clippings and ask for her thoughts on policies affecting young people. Mrs. Okafor watched these interactions with growing pride. "You're blossoming, my dear," she told Amara one evening. "I can see the confidence growing in you." As Chief Okoye's campaign intensified, so did Amara's involvement in the political discussions. She had proven herself to be insightful and articulate, and Chief Okoye began inviting her to sit in on strategy meetings rather than just serving refreshments. "Amara has a unique perspective," he would tell his advisors. "She understands the grassroots level better than any of us." This new role required Amara to dress more professionally, and Mrs. Okafor took her shopping for appropriate clothing. Standing in the boutique changing room, Amara barely recognized herself. The young woman looking back at her in the mirror was poised and confident, a far cry from the frightened girl who had arrived from Enugu. "You look beautiful," Mrs. Okafor said, adjusting the collar of Amara's new blazer. "But more importantly, you look like someone who belongs in these spaces." The transformation wasn't just external. Amara had passed her secondary school exams with flying colors and was now preparing for the JAM exam, thanks to Kimmy's persistent encouragement and Mrs. Okafor's support. She had also started taking public speaking classes, knowing that communication skills would be crucial for her future. But it was her growing relationship with Chief Okoye that surprised everyone, including herself. What had started as political discussions had evolved into deeper conversations about life, dreams, and values. He was 23 years older than her, but their intellectual connection was undeniable. "Amara," he said one evening as they walked in Mrs. Okafor's garden after a campaign meeting, "I want you to know that you've changed my perspective on many things. Your insights, your compassion, your determination, they inspire me. Thank you, sir. Working with you has taught me so much about leadership and service. Please, call me Emeka. And I want you to consider something. I'd like you to work officially on my campaign team, as a youth coordinator." Amara's heart raced. "But sir, Emeka, I'm just a house help." "No," he said firmly, stopping to face her. "You're an intelligent, capable young woman with valuable contributions to make. Don't let anyone, including yourself, limit your potential." When Amara told Mrs. Okafor about the offer, the older woman's eyes filled with tears of joy. "This is what I prayed for when I brought you to Lagos," she said. "I saw something special in you from the beginning. Take the job, my dear. You've earned it." The transition from house help to campaign coordinator was surreal. Suddenly, Amara found herself in meetings with senators and ministers, organizing rallies, and speaking at youth events. The girl who had once been invisible was now being quoted in newspapers and featured in campaign materials. But the most significant change was in her relationship with Emeka. As they worked together, traveling across Lagos State to meet with voters, their mutual respect had deepened into something more profound. He admired her intelligence and integrity, while she was drawn to his vision for a better Nigeria and his genuine care for the people. "I never expected this," Amara confided to Kimi one evening. "I came to Lagos to work as a house help, and now you're in love with a man who could be the next governor," Kimi finished. "It's like something out of a movie. But is it real? Can someone like me actually have a future with someone like him?" "Amara, you're no longer the village girl who arrived in Lagos. You've grown into a remarkable woman. If he can't see that, then he doesn't deserve you." Chapter 5. Love and politics. The campaign was in full swing, and polls showed Chief Okoye with a strong lead. Amara had become an integral part of his team, and her youth outreach programs were particularly successful. She had a gift for connecting with young people, understanding their struggles, and articulating their hopes in a way that resonated with voters. But as the campaign progressed, so did the rumors about her relationship with Emeka. The opposition party had begun spreading stories about the house help who thinks she can be First Lady, and some newspapers published unflattering articles about her background. "Village girl aims for government house," read one particularly nasty headline. "From serving tea to serving the state?" The attacks hurt, but Amara refused to be intimidated. She had learned to hold her head high, to speak with confidence, and to never apologize for her origins. "Let them talk," Emeka told her during one of their private moments. "They're attacking you because they're afraid of your influence. You represent everything they fear, the power of the people to rise above their circumstances." "But Emeka, maybe they're right. Maybe I don't belong in this world." He took her hands in his. "Amara, you belong wherever your talents and character can make a difference. And I want you to know that my feelings for you have nothing to do with politics and everything to do with the extraordinary woman you've become." Their relationship had evolved slowly and naturally. Late-night strategy sessions had turned into long conversations about their dreams for Nigeria. Shared meals had become intimate dinners where they talked about everything from literature to philosophy. And somewhere along the way, friendship had blossomed into love. "I love you," he said simply. "Not because of what you might become, but because of who you are right now. You're intelligent, compassionate, and stronger than you know. You've shown me that true leadership comes from understanding and serving the people, not from privilege or position." "I love you too," she replied, tears streaming down her face. "But I'm scared, Emeka. What if we win? What if you become governor? Will I be able to handle being First Lady?" "We'll handle it together," he assured her. "And Amara, you've been preparing for this role without even knowing it. Every book you've read, every conversation you've had, every person you've connected with, it's all been preparing you for something greater." The proposal came 2 weeks before the election, in the same garden where they had shared their first meaningful conversation. Emeka had arranged for Mrs. Okafor to be there, along with Chidi, Kimi, and even Blessing, who had become Amara's closest friend and confidant. "Amara Chukwu," he said, dropping to one knee. "You came into my life as a young woman seeking opportunity, but you've given me something far more valuable: love, purpose, and a vision of what Nigeria can become. Will you marry me?" The ring was beautiful, but it was the love in his eyes that made her say yes without hesitation. Election day arrived with the weight of destiny. Amara stood beside Emeka at the polling station, her engagement ring catching the morning light. The cameras were there, of course, documenting every moment of what the press had dubbed the most romantic political story of the year. "How do you feel, Miss Chukwu?" a reporter asked. "From house help to potential first lady, what's your message to young women across Nigeria?" Amara looked directly into the camera, her voice steady and clear. "My message is simple. Never let anyone tell you that your background determines your future. Work hard, stay humble, and believe in yourself." If a village girl from Enugu can stand here today, then anything is possible. The election results were announced that evening. Chief Emeka Okoye had won by a landslide. As the victory celebrations began, Amara found herself overwhelmed by the magnitude of what lay ahead. She was going to be the First Lady of Lagos State. Mrs. Okafor found her on the balcony, looking out over the city lights of Lagos. Having second thoughts, the older woman asked gently. "No," Amara replied. "I'm thinking about my mother. She's probably listening to the radio in our village right now, hearing that her daughter who left to work as a house help is going to marry the governor. I wish she could see me now. She will soon. And Amara, I want you to know how proud I am of you. You've exceeded every expectation and dream I had when I brought you to Lagos. Thank you, Ma, for everything. For believing in me, for giving me the chance to grow, for showing me that family isn't just about blood." The wedding was held 3 months later, and it was the social event of the year. Dignitaries from across Nigeria attended, but Amara's favorite guests were the ones from her village, her mother, her siblings, and the teachers who had encouraged her to pursue education despite the challenges. Blessing served as her chief bridesmaid, and during the reception, she pulled Amara aside. "Sister, you remember that first day when we met at Mile 2, Motor Park? How could I forget? You were so scared, so uncertain. But I saw something in you that day, a fire, a determination. I'm not surprised you're here now. I'm just grateful I got to witness the journey." As the evening wound down, Amara and Emeka stood together, watching their guests dance and celebrate. Tomorrow, they would begin their work as governor and first lady, tackling the challenges facing Lagos State. But tonight, they were simply two people who had found love in the most unexpected circumstances. "Any regrets?" Emeka asked, squeezing her hand. "Just one," Amara replied with a smile. "I wish I could go back and tell that frightened girl at the motor park that her story was just beginning, not ending." Epilogue. Full circle 5 years later, Governor Emeka Okoye was preparing to leave office, his administration widely praised for its youth empowerment programs and grassroots development initiatives. First Lady Amara Okoye had become a powerful advocate for education and women's rights, establishing scholarship programs that had sent hundreds of young women to university. On this particular morning, she was visiting a women's empowerment center in Mushin, one of many such facilities her foundation had established across Lagos State. As she spoke to a group of young women about entrepreneurship and self-reliance, she noticed one girl in the back row who reminded her of herself, quiet, attentive, but with a spark of determination in her eyes. After the presentation, the girl approached her shyly. "Ma, my name is Chioma. I came from Imo State to work as a house help, but I want to do more with my life. How do I start?" Amara smiled, remembering another young woman who had asked a similar question years ago. "First, you never stop learning. Second, you never stop believing in yourself. And third, you remember that your current situation is not your final destination." She handed Chioma her personal card. "Call me next week. I think we can find you a scholarship and maybe a part-time job that will allow you to continue your education." As Chioma walked away, clutching the card like a precious treasure, Amara felt a profound sense of completion. She had not only transformed her own life but was now helping other young women do the same. That evening, at the dinner table of the governor's mansion, she told Emeka about her encounter with Chioma. "It's like looking into a mirror of the past," she said. "But now I'm on the other side, able to offer the kind of opportunity that was given to me. You know what I love most about you?" Emeka said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "You never forgot where you came from, and you never stopped believing in where you could go. That's what makes you not just my wife, but a true leader." Amara looked around the elegant dining room of the governor's mansion, with its crystal chandelier and fine china, And then she thought about the small room behind Mrs. Okafor's kitchen where her journey had truly begun. The distance between those two places wasn't measured in miles, but in courage, determination, and the willingness to believe that every ending is also a beginning. Later that night, as she prepared for bed, Amara opened her journal, a habit she had maintained since those early days of reading in Mrs. Okafor's library. On the page, she wrote, "They say that fairy tales don't exist in real life, but I disagree. My fairy tale didn't involve a prince rescuing a princess. It was about a young woman who rescued herself through education, hard work, and the courage to dream beyond her circumstances. And the best part? This story isn't just mine. It belongs to every young person who refuses to accept limitations, who chooses to see obstacles as stepping stones, and who believes that in Nigeria, as anywhere else in the world, greatness can emerge from the most humble beginnings." As she closed the journal and turned off the light, Amara smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to serve, and new young women like Chioma who needed to hear that their stories, too, were just beginning. The house help who became a governor's wife had learned the most important lesson of all. True success isn't measured by how high you climb, but by how many others you lift up along the way.